Okay, guys. So let us start today's session on the data extracting operators. So in the previous session, we have discussed these five data extracting operators. Okay. And in the today's session, we are going to discuss this six data view extracting operators, data extracting operators. So the difference is here, the first five data extracting operators are used to extract the values of the keys. Okay. So we were using keys to extract their values. But if you see here, the sixth data extracting operator, it says uh, to extract the whole key value pairs which are matched with the key. Okay. You should be using key and ampersand symbol to extract the whole key value. Okay, here with this file, we are just getting the values. For a single value selector, you will be getting a single value that is matching with the key. And for multiple value selector, we will be getting array of values matched with the key. Here for descendant also, we will be getting array of matched values with the descendants. If you combine the multi-value selector and descendant selector, so that will going to consider entire descendant, entire values that are present in the descendants. And what is index selector? It is going to work on arrays and strings. And you will be plucking out the data based on the index position of the element. And range selector, so it also works on the arrays. So to extract a particular elements, a set of elements from an array. Okay. If you want to pluck the array starting from range 0 to 10. Okay. So then in that case, you will be making use of range selector. Coming back to our key value pair selector, as I said, it is going to extract the whole key value pair. So let me open the Dataweave playground. So this will be the default message we will be having, and it represents a single value selector payload dot message. So it's a single value selector. You are extracting a message value from it. As I said, when you use ampersand symbol, it is going to plug entire key value pair along with the message. It will be going to display. So use ampersand symbol here in the script dot ampersand message. See, we will be getting entire key value pair here. See, Akash, instead of using dot ampersand message, you can remove that. Just keep the payload. You will be getting entire key value pair, right? Then why? What is the point of using dot ampersand? See, I'm removing this dot ampersand message. Output remains same. Okay, whatever we were expecting, it is showing the same. So then what is the point of using this script dot ampersand message? I will tell you. What if we have a nested JSON? Okay, this is a simple JSON. So what if we have a nested JSON? See, if I want to pluck out this particular message, I cannot be using payload, right? By using simple payload, it is going to give the entire thing. Okay, entire thing, whatever present in this, it is going to give the response. But my requirement is to fetch this particular key value pairs that is present in the second message. In that case, you should be using ampersand to plug out the key value pairs. Okay. See, the syntax is simple. You will be using message dot message. Why it is not giving nested out? You call the function value selector with this argument. So it is saying it is just checking the hello world, right? The value of the message, it is just considering this one. When you enter payload dot message, the second message is it is not considering. It is just considering the first message. In order to consider the second message as well, you will be making use of multi-value selector. Okay. So why you need to use the multi-value selector? Because multi-value selector focuses on all the matching keys. Okay. There are two matching keys with message. So it will be focusing on the two values, hello world and message. So when you use dot message, okay, it will be checking for it. For the for in the first value, the message is not exist. But in the second value, this will be the second value, right? In the second value, message exists. In the first value, message is not exist. In the second value, message is exist. So we are getting the response success as nested out. But I want key along along with this value. I want key. I just don't want the value. In that case, you will be using ampersand, guys. Okay. So it fetches you the key value pair. This is about key value pair. Any doubts up to here?
No, Akash.
No, right? Okay. Next, coming to XML attributes, this will be the syntax dot at the rate my attribute to extract the value of an XML attribute. Okay, to what is an XML attribute, guys? To before extracting an XML attribute, we will be knowing about the XML data first. So let's write a XML code here, XML payload. So I'm going to create a simple XML. So when you are trying to write the XML payload, you will be selecting the MIME type as XML here. MIME type, or you can call it as a media type. So you will be extracting using first select the XML. XML, as we know, XML consists of starting tag and ending tag. Okay. Ending tag should always be having forward slash. So when you keep the cursor here and press enter, so it will be going, it is not giving you the indentation, right? In order to like improve the readability, you give some indentation at the starting, okay? And start writing another uh, child element of that company details. Same guys, org. So it says unexpected close tag slash org because here it is the reason. The starting tag is name. Why you are keeping ending tag as org? So you should be keeping ending tag as name only. You don't need to keep the value in quotes whenever you are writing XML. Okay. By default, it is considering it has a string only. Even if you keep number, okay, it will consider that as a string only. Please remember this point. Even if you keep the value of a element, by default, it is considering it as a string. Okay. Even if it is a number, it is considering it as a string. Whatever you keep, that will be string in the value, especially in the value. Okay. So why it is converting into JSON here in the output? Because of this output MIME type and this payload. So we are asking compiler to convert this payload into application JSON. Okay. The topic is about, let me, so we have created a payload called company details. So let me like add a XML attribute. The XML attribute generally present in the elements, okay, elements of the XML. So you have to give space and add some XML attribute as we are see. This XML attribute is not present in the output response of the JSON. Okay. But if you want to see what is the XML attribute that is attributed with this particular company details element, okay, then in that case, you will be using at the rate and what is the XML attribute name? MNC. So the syntax is slightly invalid because the attribute is not present in the payload. It is present in the company details of the payload. So you will be mention that company details just before mentioning the attribute name. Okay. So payload dot company details dot at the rate MNC is valid, guys. Okay. You can also attribute the elements in the sub elements as well. Okay. You don't need to keep the attribute in the ending tag. You just need to keep the attribute in the starting tag. So just quote it with string. Here you need to especially give the string. See, if I want to plug this particular attribute, if I want to plug out this particular attribute value, then what will be the syntax? So you have to specifically mention the XML element name. Okay. See, it is present under the company details. Company details exist under payload. So the first XML attribute that is MNC is giving S. The second XML attribute MNC is giving correct. Okay. So you should be like specifying the exact elements that are present under the parent elements. Any doubts up to here, guys? Hello, please respond, guys.
No, Akash.
See, the difference is both XML attributes are, even though the both XML attributes are same, the elements that where the attribute is present, you should be mentioning that. Okay. So this is about XML attributes. And coming to namespace selector, both are these both data extracting operators related with the XML data types, guys. Okay. So we are working for the XML data type only. Here, XML data type is there. So we make use of the XML attributes to plug out the attributes that are associated with XML elements. In the same way, for namespace selector, we will be using XML data type only. Okay. So before going for namespace selector, just we should know what is namespace. Okay, generally we will be using this terminology whenever you are working with the SOAP web services. As we know, there are two types of web services, or there are two types of APIs. So one is REST API or REST web service. Other one is SOAP API or SOAP web service. Okay. As we know, like XML is compatible with the XML data type, and REST API is compatible with so many data types: JSON, XML, CSV, that could be any data types. So that's why and REST API is lightweight version of carrying the data, but XML is like heavyweight because of its starting and ending tag elements, due to which the storage increases. So whenever it comes to the SOAP web services, SOAP web service generally works on XML data types. And coming to the point 8, so namespace selector is something that is having the information related to the references of the SOAP web services. So web service reference is nothing but a URL, guys. Okay. So I will be showing that URL, what I'm talking about. So let me make use of this XML itself. So I just wanted this XML version encoding format. So that's why I converted that into XML, because whenever you convert with XML data without this XML version and encoding format, it always append that XML version and encoding format for XML data types. Okay, this Dataweave script. Hey guys, this is how we need to, sorry, the XML data present along with the namespace details. Okay. So here the namespace is this one. Okay, this the URL where the reference actually where we can see the reference of the particular SOAP web services. Consider this company details.org is the SOAP web service reference, and we call that as a namespace, guys. Okay. So generally the namespace details exist in this form. We are attributing this URL with this NS0. This NS0 is actually a namespace here. Okay, and it is associated with every element of the XML data to define the data structure. Okay, it says in this namespace, actually the data structure uh, exists in this way. Okay, this will be the meaning of that. Means it represents the data structure that present in this particular reference. Okay, to pluck out the namespace details, we will be using payload dot company details So it says trying to output 1 second. Let me keep this JSON. So now it is giving the namespace details. Okay. Dot hash will be the data view syntax to plug out the namespace details, guys. Any doubts up to here?
No, Akash.
Okay. You are just plucking out the namespace URL from the XML element. Okay. The attribute will not work here. At the rate will not work. Instead of, because that was attribute and it is namespace. Okay. The difference is for namespace, you will be using hashtag. So this will be the syntax for fetching attribute details. This will be the syntax for fetching namespace details. Namespace is nothing but the URL only, which is the reference for the SOAP web services. Whenever you are using SOAP web services, there will be always namespace references in the XML data type. So those namespaces generally defines the data structure of input and output. Okay. What is meant by data structure? Data structure is like defining the key value pairs itself. So what will be the key and what is the value that is associated with that key? If there are any nested keys are there, nested key values pairs are there. So that kind of data defines in the namespaces. Also they might be also defining like what is the data type of input. Okay, like integers, strings, this kind of data also present in data structure, guys. What if you want to create this particular XML data which consists of namespaces with the use of Dataweave script? If you want to create a namespace XML data along with the namespace, yes, you can do that using the script. So the first thing you should be mentioning the MIME type as XML, and you should be mentioning the namespace by defining the ns0. This will be the like alias name for the namespace. Just give whatever URL that is referring to the SOAP web services. So just copy that URL and paste it here. And in the script, coming to the source code part, you will be writing the key value pairs. Okay. You should be associating with this alias name. So what are the key value pairs, guys? Company details is the parent element. Next, inside the company details, organization is there. Okay. So inside the organization, name is there. So here you should be using quotes. Okay. Because in JSON, you have to specifically mention the quotes to define it as the string. This is creating a XML data without having the namespace details, right? To have the namespace details as well, you should be associated with this alias name. Each and every element, you should be associating that. Okay, guys. So this will associate this namespace with the each and every element of the data. So that will match with the data structure that is defined in this URL. And you don't need to code this in single quotes or double quotes, just mention as it is. Coming to selector modifiers. Okay. So let me do one thing. Instead of taking the input from here, let me create the input in the script itself. So to show you one more functionality of the Dataweave script by creating the variables. Okay. Let me create a variable that is having the scope within this script. Outside of this script, the scope of this declared variables does not like. Okay. So let me define a variable with the name var. So INP will be the input. If you give INPUT, it will not work. It will throw error because INPUT and OU output will be both are keywords. Okay. Default keywords. So it is considering it as a keyword instead of considering it as a variable. Okay. So you should be don't use keywords whenever you are declaring variables or functions. So let me mention this XML code here. Okay, guys. So to read this particular data in XML format, you will be mention its XML MIME type, and also you should be using read function. Okay, let me remove this as well. Okay. So it will consider this particular data in XML form, and that means it is going to read this whatever string. Okay. When you append this in single quotes or double quotes, it will become string. It will read this string as XML. Okay. So that is the use of read function, guys. When I mention the variable name INP, it is going to display the variable that is stored in this particular variable. So what is the value that is stored in this variable? XML form of the string. What is XML form of the string? This one only. Okay. So in this way, you can also define the input using the variables and make use of that input here to extract the values from it. So what we are trying to do, we are working on selector modifiers. When this selector modifier will work, so it says question mark returns Boolean values, true or false based on condition that is present, and exclamatory returns error if condition fails. So here actually we are not mentioning any condition. We are just checking for the keys, existence of keys. Okay. See, input has company details. Okay. So if you keep question mark here, so let's remove this and make it as JSON, because XML always requires the root element uh, in order to give the out. So it always requires the root element. Okay. Even if you keep the root element, it works. Okay. What is this says? It says in the input variable whether company details are exist or not. It is going to check for that key. Yes, company details keys exist. So that's why it is going to give you true. If I'm making slight changes in this key, okay, I will remove S. It will check for company detail. Company detail is not exist here. So that's why it is giving you false. Okay. Question mark will give you Boolean value, true or false. Exclamatory will give you if key exists in this particular input variable, it will give you the value of that particular key. What is the value of that particular key? Organization only. So that's why it is going to give you value of that particular key. If that key does not exist, that will going to throw you error saying there is no key present with this name, company detail. Okay, you got it, guys? Hello. See, guys, the what is difference between question mark and exclamatory? Question mark will give you Boolean values. Okay, if this a key exists or not, this is going to check if this key exists in this particular input variable. I will be going to give the response as true. If this key does not exist in this particular value variable, I am going to give the response as false. What is exclamatory? It also check for this key, existence of key in this particular input variable. If it exists, I am going to give value that is present in that particular key. Okay. If the key does not exist, I will be going to simply throw error saying that there is no key present with this particular name in this input variable. That is about selector modifiers. What is filter modifiers? Sorry, filter selectors. Let me use one more element with the same name. So input variable in the inside the input variable, we are checking for the company details, and I am going to make use of one more key here, organization inside that dot name. So what will dot name will give? Whatever the first element is there, okay, that is matching with this key, it is going to give that output. It is not going to give the output of the Infosys. In order to get the output of the Infosys, because both are having the same keys name, you will be using star. Okay, star will give you multiple value selector, but it is saying trying to output second root. It is throwing error. Why? Because I said the array values does not support in XML formats. Okay, in XML formats, actually the multi-value selector gives yields the response in array format. Okay, array of matched values, array of values that are matching with this key name. Okay, this is yielding array. XML does not support array values. That's why it is throwing error. You, in order to get the value, in order to get the response, you should be changing its MIME type to JSON. JSON supports array. Okay. See, this will be the result of this particular Dataweave script. From the input variable, we are checking for uh, the names. How many names are exist in this particular organization? I want all those names. So TCS and Infosys are present in this particular list. So that's why it is giving you value in array format. Okay. So what if particularly you want Infosys, you don't want the details related to TCS. In that case, make use of this filter selector. Okay. Use as it is the syntax after the key. Okay. The key is name here. After the key, square bracket starts, right? Make use of the question mark and define the data view Boolean expression, guys, here. Inside this bracket, you will be using Boolean expression. What is Boolean expression? It should give true or false. That's it. See, the value that is yielding this, the name yields a value. What are the values it is yielding? TCS and Infosys. Okay. Generally, we use dollar, okay, to define the value or item that is yielded by this key, and double dollar to define the index of the values that are exist in the array. Dollar for values, double dollar for index. Please remember dollar for value. So I'm going to check whether this particular dollar is equal to Infosys. Okay. Wherever this value matches with this word Infosys, it is going to give you filter the entire array with this condition and gives response accordingly. Okay. If you filter it with TCS, it will be going to give you TCS. Akash, it has only two values. So if there are like multiple, more than 10 values, okay, then in that case, if you want to focus on that particular company, so what is the details of the particular company? So then you, in that case, this filter modifier, filter selector will help us. Any doubts up to here, guys? How to make use of filter selector and where to make use of it? So you should be making use of filter selectors in case of array only. Okay. Dot star name will give you array of values that are matching with this key. And with this, within this matching key, you will be like filtering the value whatever you want. You should not be using single equal to, because that single equal to means assignment operator. Double equals to means equality operator. Whenever you are defining Boolean expressions, you will always be going to use double equal to. Okay. Means if this TCS is matching with the value that is present in this name, then I will be going to give the response as true. If true, I will be giving that particular value as response. Dollar equals to TCS means it is going to assign the TCS to dollar. It's not a equality operator. It is not checking LHS and RHS. If both are same, true. If both are not equal, it is going to give you false. The final one, we have metadata selector, guys. Let's make use of this input itself. Okay, let's make use of that input itself. So I'm going to make use of this input and keep it here. So let me remove this variable. Even if you keep that variable, you are not making use of it here. That doesn't like. So just remove this variable here to avoid the confusion. So let me use of the payload. So the final one is metadata selectors. Okay. What is metadata? It is something related to its attributes, right? So we have some payload. So metadata such as like it covers the media type, okay, whatever media type that is this data is following, and so we can also define the content length. We can also make use of like encoding. So all this comes under metadata, guys. So what is payload dot, what is encoding format this particular payload is using? So in order to check the encoding format, you will be using payload dot encoding. So this will not work. Just remove the XML to JSON. See here. So dot cap symbol is the Dataweave syntax to fetch the encoding details of this particular XML payload. Okay, what is the encoding format this payload is using? If you want to check that, you should be using the syntaxes dot cap. For metadata selectors, you will be using the syntax dot cap. So some of the metadata selectors are encoding, media type, class, content length. So let us check every metadatas here. The first one is encoding. So let us check the class also. Payload should always be in lowercase. It should not be an uppercase. If it is in uppercase, it will not work. Okay. It should not also be in camel case. Okay. The first letter is uppercase and the remaining all others lowercase that we call as a camel case. It should always be, every letter should always be in lowercase itself. Dot cap class will be the syntax for it. See here, encoding is UTF-8. For this particular XML data type, there is no class related metadata present. Okay. Now check what is content length of this payload. Payload.cap content length. It is giving you the syntax. So content length is also null, guys. Finally, media type. Payload.cap media type. So media type is application XML. We know the payload is following the application XML as media type. If you use JSON, what happens? It is throwing error. Why it is throwing error? Not because of this Dataweave script, because of this input itself. The JSON always look for the key value pairs that start with flower brackets, but it is saying I encountered with this symbol. Okay, unexpected character. So the error is with the input, not with the script. So it should be mentioning the XML data MIME type. So let me use the MIME type as well here. Payload.cap MIME type. So in order to fetch the details of the MIME type here, you should be using the media type, guys, not MIME type. Okay. So this is not working. It is giving you null. Maybe MIME type is defining some other thing, but these are some of the metadata selectors we are going to use, and this will be dot cap will be the syntax to fetch metadata selectors. Okay, this will be the encoding class. Encoding defines the encoding format UTF-8, content length, class, media type we know that is a XML. Any doubts up to here, guys? So we have successfully completed the basic data extracting operators. Every data extracting operators are completed within these 2 sessions. So that's it up to now. Let's meet in next session, guys. Thank you.